Phil Lynott, the warrior poet. Welcome back to the Social Yet Distance, where sometimes we explore the hidden creative layers behind legendary artists. In today's episode, we're talking about Phil Lynott, the warrior poet. Most people know Phil Lynott as the charismatic frontman of Thin Lizzy, the bass player, the songwriter, the voice behind The Boys Are Back in Town and Jailbreak. But what many don't realize is that Phil Lynott was also a published poet. His published works included two poetry books, Song for While I'm Away in 1974 and Philip in 1977. And almost every piece in those collections was actually a Thin Lizzy lyric reformatted as poetry, except for one standalone poem titled A Holy Encounter. Later on in 1977, both books were compiled into a single edition again called Songs for While I'm Away, complete with illustrations by artists Tim Booth and Jim Fitzpatrick. A rare 1979 edition, known as Collected Works of Philip Lynott, included around 64 poems, also mostly lyrics. Only a few hundred of these ever made it to print, making them a true collector's item. His themes and voice drew deeply from Irish and Celtic traditions, stories of battle, love, faith, identity. His words explore conflict and mortality, but also romance, pride, and longing. Historic ties to the homeland are almost heroic. If you read lyrics from songs like Massacre, Soldier of Fortune, or Angel of Death on the page, they carry the rhythm and the density of verse as much as poetry or rock and roll. Access and legacy. The original physical copies of his poetry are pretty scarce. You'll find them through rare book collectors, sellers, or the occasional auction, but there are no public digital versions available, and the collections aren't archived online. For most fans today, the best way to experience Lynott's poetic side is by revisiting the songs themselves, reading the lyrics as lines of verse rather than rock lyrics. Because that's what Phil Lynott always was, a poet who happened to plug in his poetry and let it sing. If you enjoyed this snapshot of Phil Lynott's literary life, check out Thin Lizzy's A Song for While I'm Away on your favorite music platform, or look for that rare poetry collection if you're lucky enough to spot one. In your research into Phil Lynott, you will undoubtedly come across the controversial More Blacks, More Dogs, More Irish. More Blacks, More Dogs, and More Irish is a reworking of a infamous racist UK-era accommodation slogan that read, "No blacks, no dogs, no Irish." Phil Lynott, the black Irish frontman of Thin Lizzy, wore and was associated with a t-shirt printed with the upside-down version, "More blacks, more dogs, more Irish," as a defiant, humorous reclaiming of those exclusionary signs. You can see a modified version at my shop, where you can get t-shirts and other memorabilia as well as modified versions. His personal connection to the slogan: Phil Lynott grew up in Dublin as one of the only mixed-race children in his neighborhood, and his family later moved to London at a time when no blacks, no dogs, no Irish type signs were still being seen in some housing and pubs. As someone who was black and Irish, he often turned the stigma back on itself with wit, famously saying, "Being black and Irish was like being a pint of Guinness and embracing both sides, both identities with pride." Are there photos of him wearing the shirt? Yes, there sure are. There are widely circulated photos and fans posts showing Phil Lynott posing in a t-shirt with the words "More blacks, more dogs, more Irish" visible, often in casual or backstage settings. These images are often shared on Reddit or fan sites, merchandise pages, and they're the main reason that the design is so closely tied to his image today. So, thanks for coming by. Next time we're going to dive into another artist whose creativity extends far beyond their music, the ink on a page, paint on a canvas, or one that changes lives or heals through the fields. Social Yet Distance is the place to come. Sub, like, share, comment here and at all the places in the description. Don't forget there's a link in the description for the Phil Lynott t-shirt. Thanks for coming by. Have a great afternoon.